Well, down 10 and 2 quarters to go, you had Pat Mahomes go 13 of 14, the winning completion being a throwaway. Goes for 126 yards, 4 straight scoring drives, and a ridiculous passer rating, and then that led to the nickname Perk Mahomes. He went into that locker room, got what he needed medicinally. He came out there and he was floating, baby. He was levitating.
No way.
And he was leading his team to victory. Perk Mahomes was trending during the game last night.
We're celebrating opiate painkillers.
I guess so, man. I mean,
Okay.
I guess the Toradol wasn't quite enough. And so, Perk Mahomes is what
I do think
are.
that's a performance-enhancing drug, to be honest with you. You know, you get that flowing in you. There's a reason they called it heroin. Made you feel like a hero, you know? And if you do a lot of it, you're going to pass out. If you do way too much of it, you can overdose, okay? And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be insensitive to anybody that might have had that happen or in their family, but just a little bit of it, oof. I mean, if I'm in that moment, I'm like, guys, if you're not hurt, you know, maybe come on over here and
Maybe still enjoy a little
yeah,
bit.
you're going to be Mr. Perk Johnson. You're going to be Mr. Perk Dawson. Okay, let's go get him.
Perk Mahomes getting it done in half number 2. What a stud he is. Chiefs and Eagles combining for over 70 points last night. Just the 3rd time in Super Bowl history that the teams have combined for at least 70 points. And that's what was so fun. In the final couple of minutes, and the Eagles lose, so ultimately it was a good ending, but you wanted it to really be the nail-biter at the end, and the Chiefs were able to just ice that bad boy and make it a no-brainer.
Super smart play by McKinnon to get down, you know, to not score the touchdown right there.
Definitely.
You know, that right there, that's what you talk about, attention to detail of your team. That's, you know, Gavin, you asked earlier in the show, what's something that your team could do, what you learned from the game last night? Situational football. Smart situational football. Right there, McKinnon, that's obviously, they're talking about it on the sidelines. I'm guaranteeing Mahomes is saying in the huddle, if we break this one to the outside, you know, don't get out of bounds, get down, don't score. The only thing that could beat us right now is if we give the ball back to these guys.
We've seen enough of those now where the running backs aren't going to make that mistake anymore.
Yeah, now it happened in Atlanta in a game. I think Atlanta was playing Detroit, and one of the Atlanta backs accidentally tried to stop, but
He
fell in, and then Detroit got the ball, went down the field, and kicked the game-winning field goal. You know, so I mean that's the kind of thing. But that right there, if you want to talk about things that you'd love for your team to be able to do, situational football would be one of the tops on my list.
Couldn't agree more. And you've seen Andy Reid teams do that before. Remember Brian Westbrook famously was a guy who did that. So I imagine that's Andy Reid relaying the information in real time in the huddle before plays. Right. Hey, get down. Don't go out of bounds. Don't even score, Jarek, even though, of course, you want to be a guy who found the end zone on Super Bowl Sunday. Let's be a little bit selfless here. Let's hoist the Lombardi. That's exactly what happened. 3 touchdowns, and let's see, with 3 tonight and 2 over last night, 2 over his previous 2 Super Bowl appearances, Pat Mahomes now tied with Troy Aikman and Brett Favre for the 7th most passing touchdowns in Super Bowl history.
Mama, give me 8 of them flapjacks. I said, Mama, take away 5 of them flapjacks. I want to stay hungry for the Crimson Tide.
Nice word. That was fantastic. Limited fake Wolchuk as what's the it's Brett Favre, but it's Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson.
That was strong.
Yes.
Good work.
And that's awesome. You know, he's so young to be at this point. I've been calling him the future GOAT. And I guess his nickname now is Perk Mahomes, or as Kelsey was obnoxiously calling him immediately after the game, MV Pat, which is cool as well. But I'm not giving up hope on this. I mean, to beat a team as loaded as Philadelphia with this team, the AFC is not going to be any easier. But if you're able to get through that field again, and so many appearances to the AFC title game over the last 5 years, I could easily see this continuing. Andy Reid's not a young man, but he's young enough for these guys to be the ultimate quarterback and coach combo.
Yeah, man, that's everything. Who's your coach? Who's your quarterback? And we'll have a pretty good idea of what your future looks like, and theirs as bright as can be.
How many more does he need before there's a legit conversation? Like, you're willing to say, I'm not just going to scoreboard it Brady to Mahomes. Is it 5?
Yeah, let me ask you this. Could we ever have the discussion that we have in the NBA with Jordan and LeBron?
Yeah, what's it going to take to have that? No, we can't do it now. Brady's career accomplishments are too great. What's Pat got to do to make this a fun conversation?
It's a good question. For me, I'm already willing to go out and say, like, Pat Mahomes is the better quarterback. Like, he obviously, just from a longevity standpoint, he doesn't have the resume that Brady has, but I can look at, and I think that's what LeBron fans do. Hey, yeah, he's not going to have all the titles necessarily as Jordan, but I can just objectively say he's better. And I'm not one of those people. I would still say Jordan's better, but for those folks, I can look at Pat Mahomes right now and say he's better than Brady is and ever was, and I would take Pat Mahomes right now over Tom Brady if you said I could take them both in their primes.
Both have had like Hall of Fame tight ends, right?
Correct.
Both have played with Hall of Fame tight ends. You start to break down the weapons on the outside a little bit. You know, you get the Julian Edelmans and guys like that. He played with Randy Moss one time. I don't think they won a Super Bowl with Randy Moss.
No, they went undefeated and lost to the Giants.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, you start to look at the weapons, both playing in a salary cap era, which I always like to talk about because your team turns over so much.
Both did nice things to the team to help them manage the cap.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Would you say Mahomes is your GOAT already? Like you need one game? You're throwing Pat out there?
Yeah.
Or is it?
I think so. So. I mean,
last night was incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. And you go through it now, and it's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL MVP, 1-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro. I'm not going to mention the 5 Pro Bowls because that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm starting to think about for one game. You got me thinking about that one game.
Yeah.
Does Rodgers have any traction on a one game with you?
Not over Brady or Mahomes for me.
All right. Does Burrow have any traction for a one game?
He's got traction. All these guys are like in the conversation, but you're fighting for third place at this point. Brady, Mahomes, Brady, and then kind of, I mean, I don't know, Montana.
Being a crusty, I think Montana and Rodgers are in this conversation.
I think so too.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Aaron Rodgers had a 2 or 3 year stretch where I don't know if I've ever seen anybody play as well as he was. When he was still highly mobile, like 26-year-old legs, Aaron Rodgers, guy was unstoppable.
Like 30-something touchdowns, 3 interceptions kind of guy.
Oh, yeah. Super, super nasty. It's tough, though, because he's played in one Super Bowl. Like, for as electric and dominant as he is and was, it's like, okay, you've managed to get to one Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes has been here 5 seconds, and he's already won 2.
I mean, we can make the Dak excuses for Aaron Rodgers and say, well, he hasn't always had the best this or that, but neither does Mahomes.
Right, exactly. It's a good point.
No, I was trying to think of who's had the better of the weapons around him when you start about Brady and Mahomes.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a wash. I mentioned that washing the tight ends. Maybe better wide receivers in Kansas City.
Yeah, this is the first year where Mahomes didn't have like straight up dominance across the board, where it's like Tyreek Hill, maybe the best receiver in the league, Travis Kelce, probably the best tight end in the league.
Right.
This is the first time he didn't have that. I think that's one of the things about Brady. He had Belichick. He always had a dang good defense, but from a weaponry standpoint, he's throwing to a lot of, David Givens and Deion Branches and winning Super Bowls.
Right.
But he did it. And then when he had a Randy Moss and a Wes Welker and a Dante Stallworth, he was throwing for 50 touchdowns and he looked like unbelievable. Yeah. So I think that's one of the great things. And Mahomes has just showed it this year. I don't have to have, if you give me a little protection, I can pretty much make it work with random wide receiver, just kind of NFL average receivers outside of my tight end. And Brady did that. Peyton Manning, okay, yeah, you had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne for a long time. Like, you had really good weapons from that standpoint. But, like, Brady didn't always, and Mahomes is now showing he probably doesn't need great weapons either.
Did Philadelphia's defense lose that game last night?
Well, their offense just handed them a touchdown, so that certainly hurts things. But overall, yeah, the defense let them down.
I would say special teams in the turnover more than the defense. It was very impressive. 4 straight touchdown drives by the Chiefs.
Chiefs missed a field goal, right?
Yeah,
correct.
Game?
Yeah, like the Chiefs should have had, I guess, 41.
That's like a turnover right there, if you ask me. I've always thought that.
469, what do you think about this? Gavin suggesting an opiate is somehow a performance enhancer might be the dummest comment ever. And that's saying something.
Congratulations, sir.
I've done it.
Well, you are the new king.
Well done.
Crown him. I wanted to raise that bar high. Pun intended.
We'll go ahead and me and Walchuk will give you a run for your money. We'll see something stupid. give us a week and a half or so. Jalen Hurts, second quarterback ever to have at least 2 rushing touchdowns in a Super Bowl. That was surprising to me. And if you can name the other one, I will give you a congratulations, sir, handshake with you are football guy of the day. How about that? How about that for prestigious?
No, let me think about this now.
Okay, what do I need?
You need to name the quarterback other than Jalen Hurts who's had 2 rushing touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
Colin Kaepernick?
Wrong.
Peyton Manning.
Wrong.
Russell Wilson.
Also wrong. It's a little bit more of a
Fran
throwback.
Tarkenton.
A little bit more throwback, not quite as throwback.
Steve Young.
Not Steve. This actually surprised me.
Joe Montana.
No, but it is a J. It is a first name J.
Joe
There's your
Namath.
first hint.
Joe Namath didn't run.
No.
It
It is a 3-letter first name.
Jamarcus Russell.
It's a great player. Get over it.
Okay, 3 syllables.
3 letters.
3
letters in the first J, in the first name J. We may or may not have seen him at the Super Bowl.
Jim
McMahon.
McMahon, and
Wow.
there it is. Do we share
I
it?
was
you
going-
got the Jim, you got
I
the
was
McMahon?
going. I almost said Plunkett. I almost said Jim Plunkett.
We share quarterback greatness.
I was surprised about
We're
that.
peers in that way.
Yes, you are. Congratulations. You two are the football guys of the day. You
day.
co-football guys of the day. I was surprised to see it. Was Jim McMahon a runner? I'm sorry for my ignorance here.
He was kind of he would run when he had to.
Maybe like 2 QB sneaks for touchdowns in that Super Bowl?
Well,
Okay.
they crushed the Patriots in that Super Bowl.
That's not even my best stat of the day. I will get to it in just a second, but I do want to acknowledge Travis Kelce for having passed Gronk for the second most receiving touchdowns in NFL playoff history. That's not that doesn't have the tight end qualifier. That's got anybody who's ever received touchdowns in playoff history. Kelce's number 2, and I believe it's Jerry Rice that's number 1.
Okay,
I think he's still holding.
Shout out to DallasCowboys.com, Nick Eatman, quickly texting him, McMahon.
Nice
thanks,
work, football guy Nick Eatman.
It was so cool to see him last week.
Yeah.
And see the interactions between him and Brian. Brought it all back.
It was cool.
I'm
Chiefs,
not going to lie to you. I was really worried he wouldn't remember me.
oh
Yeah,
Nick
because the
Eatman?
CTE.
No,
Man,
not
I'm just kidding.
yeah. Nick is like, get the hell out
No,
of here.
Jim McMahon was fanboying over you, bro. It's kind of the same way you were over him. It reminded me of you and Merrill Reese together.
You know what I did? I felt bad about Kyle Turley though, because I was like just telling story after story about. Then I'd say something like Kyle Turley,
you
like,
boxed him out a
well,
little bit.
no. I go, hey, you were the Lane Johnson before there was Lane. I was trying to be
you
like
were kissing his rear end. You
No, I
lied
was
to him.
trying. No, he was super.
It's like when I said good luck to the Eagles to Elliott Shore Parks after I man on the street at him. I was like, I just lied to you. I didn't mean that good luck there. You lied to Kyle Turley saying he was Lane Johnson. It's okay. I got to take a leak next to Kyle Turley, though, at the Super Bowl, and also Ian Rappaport. So added to the list of famous, somewhat famous people I've urinated next to.
Very star-studded
But no,
bathroom.
Broadus is on my list.
No,
I'd be next to Broadus.
I was worried that when I went up to Jim, because Mike Bassett goes, man, you got to do this interview.
Yeah.
You got to do this. And
Kudos to Mike for that.
I really appreciate Mike being a great teammate and allow me. So I went up to Jim and I said, Jim, Brian Broadus, and his face lit up. And I'm like, thank God he remembers me. Because I didn't want to do I didn't want to tell stories and him look at me like,
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about here?
I think the best thing about the NFL's litigation kind of being over when it comes to concussions is there's so many of the guys on Radio Row now that hammer home the point that the players need help a lot.
Yeah.
And this game's been very dangerous to them. Like, for a long time covering the Super Bowl, they were bringing people around that were stuttering with their speech or struggling to remember things as much as they are now. It was a celebration of the greatness, and I think we are being shielded from it. And after not going the last couple of with the pandemic and then being back in it, it was stark. The Carl Eller interview, I know a lot of people struggled with it and they heard it and were like, is he drinking? No, the man wasn't drinking. That's a man who played back in the day when there were very little safety
The equipment
precautions.
was very poor.
The equipment was bad.
Yeah.
And I hope that the equipment has come to a point now where that's impossible, but it can't be, And there's plenty of other players, whether it is a Jim McMahon or a Tony Dorsett, that are having a similar experience, and it's incredibly sad. And then when you realize what they gave to the game, and the game's not giving back or is fighting giving back, I think there were some tough moments last week, no doubt about it. And I didn't want to bring up Jim McMahon again without bringing that up, because we should have last week when Carl Eller was on, but I was processing it like, what just happened? I
felt so bad for him.
I maybe it was intentional that you bring somebody for an interview that's struggling to that extent to really hammer the point home. Maybe that's what we needed to see. Okay, when we come back.
Or it was just pork rinds just paying fat stacks for Carl Eller and folks to come promote.